everyone, my name is Lauren and I make videos on what it's like to live with schizophrenia. You can check those out over on our YouTube channel, Living Well with Schizophrenia, and make sure to subscribe to see more videos just like this one. So today I want to talk to you about what my experience has been like with scattered thoughts and disorganized thinking. So first, I just want to kind of explain a little bit about what it's like to experience scattered thoughts or disorganized thinking. So a lot of the times when I'm experiencing it, it's kind of like you can't really finish a thought. You'll be thinking about something that you want to be thinking about, and then all of a sudden, without warning or without any conclusion to that thought, you're on to the next thought. Or sometimes there's several thoughts running through your mind at the same time, and you can't really focus on any one of them, and it's all kind of jumbled up and scattered. So this is kind of what it's like to experience a thought disorder like scattered thoughts and disorganized thinking. So as you would imagine, what I feel most times when I'm experiencing this sort of scattered thought is a lot of frustration, because it's really frustrating and difficult when you can't formulate a thought or when you can't finish thinking a thought. It also makes it really hard to communicate what you're thinking. So the way that this kind of thought disorder is actually diagnosed by the DSM is by a person's speech. So this is oftentimes called word salad, when their speech is so jumbled up that you don't really understand what they're saying, and it's just kind of random words that are loosely associated but don't really make sense together. And so this is how psychiatrists or doctors know when somebody is experiencing scattered thoughts like that, because you can't really know otherwise what's going on in a person's head unless they're explaining that to you. What I tend to do, instead of having this word salad, I usually don't have this word salad, but what I tend to do is I usually just stop talking. So a lot of people think that I'm really quiet or really, really introverted, because a lot of times when I'm around a lot of people or there's a lot of stressful stimuli or whatnot going on, and I'm having this kind of disordered thought or disorganized thought, a lot of times I just stop talking because I'm worried that I'm going to say something nonsensical to somebody, or I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to properly communicate what I want to because I'm not able to properly formulate those thoughts, and subsequently I'm not able to properly communicate them to other people. So like I mentioned, having a lot of stimuli around makes this a lot harder for me. So when there's a lot of stimuli like noises or a lot of movement or a lot of just things going on in my environment, this kind of triggers this kind of scattered thought or disorganized thinking for me. Also, stress is a really big trigger. So when I'm going through stressful events or when I'm feeling a lot of stress and whatever it is I'm going through, that can also trigger this kind of thought disorder. I know an example of when this happens quite frequently and when it makes it really hard for me to kind of gather my thoughts and to move forward and communicating effectively is when I'm having conflict with like my partner, for example. And so when we're fighting, it's kind of really hard for me sometimes to follow what he's saying. And so I really have to just kind of take a step back and be like, okay, I'm having a really hard time with my thought process right now. I don't understand what you're saying. We need to kind of slow things down. Likewise, when I'm experiencing that, it's really hard for me to properly communicate what I'm thinking because I'm not able to really properly formulate a coherent thought because I'm jumping around from different thoughts or onto the next one before I can finish formulating what it is that I want to communicate. So it makes it really hard to communicate in situations like that. So why is this thought disorder a problem? So for the reason I just mentioned, where I'm not able to really follow other people's train of thoughts when I'm experiencing it and really follow a conversation, and also I'm not able to effectively communicate with them, that is a main reason why this can be a problem, but also because what I tend to do is just clam up and not communicate with other people and just kind of withdraw. And this can be a really big problem because it closes me off to the world and just kind of makes me retreat inside, which is not great, especially when I'm experiencing scattered thoughts and feeling really anxious about that from the beginning. It can be harder when I kind of isolate myself to other people and just kind of try to deal with it on my own and whatnot. So I want to kind of talk to you about some coping strategies for what to do or possible things to do when you are experiencing scattered thoughts or disorganized thinking. So to kind of counteract what I was just mentioning about kind of retreating inside yourself, a really helpful way to kind of navigate these scattered thoughts or disorganized thinking is to have someone you trust who can be a support person to kind of guide you through it. So what really helps for me is when Rob, my partner, notices that it's happening and just kind of brings attention to that and kind of brings my own attention to it too, to just kind of slow down and maybe just work through talking through things together. He also gives me hugs, which is a really grounding thing for me and kind of helps me to kind of refocus and just kind of, it's just really grounding for me. Another potential coping mechanism for these scattered thoughts would be to write things down. So if you can kind of see where your train of thought started, it might be easier to get back on track if your mind takes you elsewhere. So being able to just read what you were thinking beforehand might help to kind of prompt your brain to start thinking about what it was you were thinking about before again. And it might be just a nice way to kind of try to organize your thoughts as much as possible. A kind of go-to for me is to just take a rest. So go have a nap or just go take some quiet time for yourself and just kind of give yourself some space to just let your thoughts flow however they need to flow and to just kind of try to reground yourself. And lastly, another coping mechanism for when you're experiencing scattered thoughts or disorganized thinking is to just be honest with yourself about what's happening as well as with the people around you about what's happening. That can really help to just kind of take a step back and to slow things down and maybe remove some of the stimulation that's around you as well in your environment, and to just kind of let the person that you're talking with know what's going on and to just kind of take a step back and really slow things down. Now, schizophrenia is a spectrum disorder, so the way that scattered thoughts and disorganized thinking affects each individual is going to be different for each person. For me, it happens quite frequently and is kind of just something it's a symptom that I deal with quite frequently, but it may impact people in different ways or at different frequencies. And so what I've talked about in this video are just some coping mechanisms that have helped me. And I've talked about what the experience is like for me. But if it's different for you, or if you need further coping mechanisms for your scattered thoughts and disorganized thinking, make sure you talk to your psychiatrist or your therapist about some tools or tips that may be useful for you. I think what's really important is to just give yourself room to experience whatever it is that you're experiencing, and don't be too hard on yourself. It's not indicative of your intelligence or your worth or anything like that. So give yourself some room to just experience it as a symptom of your illness and leave it at that it's okay. I know for me, I get really down on myself about this symptom, especially when I'm making videos like this one where I'm having scattered thoughts and I can't really maintain a coherent train of thought, and that can be really, really frustrating. But it's important to just kind of give myself space to have those kinds of days. And if I'm not able to maintain a coherent train of thought one day, maybe the next day will be better, or maybe the magic of editing will help with that. So just give yourself room. It's okay. It's just a symptom of your illness, and it has no weight on you as a person. So I hope you found this video helpful in some way. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel, Living Well with Schizophrenia. Also, if you want to help support the creation of future videos like this one, please make sure to check out our Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and wishing you and your loved ones good health. Bye.